Hi, this is Miss Litton, and this is my wonderful 7th period review AP biologist. Say hi.
Hi.
All right, Ann, what else are you going to tell me today?
Happy
Right, and I am just 25 backwards, 52. Okay, so I want to show you, I know you have the resources, but I just want to double check. So when you're on my home page, in case there's a problem where people go, where did you get that? And you go into AP Bio, and we scroll, and we scroll, and we scroll somewhere. Okay, and you go down into the Group Shared Notes, Lab Documents, Resources for Review. Click on Resources for Review if you haven't already been there, and you will see several different documents that you can use in order to prepare for the AP exam. Now, old school AP exam, the essays were very content oriented, very specific to a topic. And I still have those old school essays. Because they're not current, I don't always have them aligned exactly with our units because they're old. You know, we've been on the new program for a while. But you could figure out what they were, and I will bring them up. If you look where it says Semester 1 AP Bio Potential Essays Old Format. So if you want to see what that looks like, you could figure out which essay questions are going to be in which unit. Now, these are not bad to prepare for because it really does check your content, and sometimes I will ask an old school question. So I highly recommend that you prepare for those as well. So the first one talks about water is essential to living systems. Explain polar covalent bonding in a water molecule. So if I had a document right now that I was working on for myself, I would title it Unit 1 Essay Prep, and I would probably title it I would title it Part A, Old School. I'd probably do Old School, New School, just because I know what that means. You can do it however you would like, okay? But I would definitely call this an old school essay. And I'd say old school essay number 1, and I would see, can I answer all of those questions? Could I describe it? I do not want to describe it for you because I don't want to take the learning out of your hands. When I usually do these essay reviews, they're a little bit closer to the exam, and we still have some time, and I wanted to make sure to get you started on this. And kind of on that pathway of what would be things that I would find important to write down. I encourage you each one to write your essays individually. But if this is my best friend and he's writing essays and I'm writing essays, and then we look at each other's and grade them, that would be a good thing. I cannot grade your practice essays. You have 3 classes. It's hard enough for me to grade your exams as it is. To read all of your practice essays, I cannot do that. You could probably find somebody who has written these essays before you. But if you don't actually do the writing yourself, don't abdicate your learning. I wouldn't say to my other best friend, you write essay 1, I'll write essay 2, you write essay 3. Because by doing that, I am not contributing to the process. My brain is not processing, this is important, this isn't important. My brain isn't researching the information. And it will not give you the benefits that you're looking for. Especially because these essays that you're writing, you do want to remember them for the Unit 1 exam. You do want to remember them for the Semester 1 final, but the really big exam is in May, right? Of what year? 2019, okay? And then we're going to be like days, a couple weeks out of school, we'll only have like 2 weeks, and that's when you're actually going to be needing to write an essay. And so the more ownership that you have over it, the better off you are. You have a tremendous advantage of having Google Docs, and you can make comments on each other's essays, give people editing rights, or maybe you give them commenting rights. Start to develop some sort of protocol in this very first unit, some strategies that you can do. You can share it with them, and then they comment on it like a teacher would comment on an assignment if they were grading it. You could highlight and say, I don't think this is clear. And whenever you write in that claim, evidence, reason type of mentality, right? You're always going to make a statement about something. You're going to provide evidence either from your learning or from a lab, and then you're going to make the connection. The reason is what connects that claim with your evidence, right? Why is it happening? in that way? How does this evidence support your claim? So this very first old school essay explained polar covalent bonding in water molecules. So the first thing you would probably need to explain is what is a covalent bond and why would an atom make that covalent bond? It doesn't have to be a long sentence, but then you would need to tell me what is the difference if it's a polar covalent, what's a what? Nonpolar. And then once you've understood that, once you've explained that, you can talk to me about how the electrons, because they are not shared equally, one component of that covalent bond will be closer to those the electrons will be closer to them, and so they're going to have a partial negative charge, and then the other element would have a partial what? Positive charge. Okay? So as a result of polar covalent bonds, you get partial charges, and there are polar covalent bonds in water molecules. So you've set me up. B, explain a hydrogen bond, and then explain how polar covalency leads to the hydrogen bonding between adjacent water molecules. So the first one is just saying, what is it? Now let's talk about it specifically with water. Once you've explained what a polar covalent bond is and the partial charges, then you can say one water molecule could form a hydrogen bond with another water molecule. And the partial negative charge of an oxygen of water molecule A will enter into a hydrogen bond with water molecule B's positively charged hydrogen bond. And so however you want to explain it, as long as you're showing me and explaining to me in words, and images cannot be used to support. I mean, you can draw them if you like them, but they're not going to grade your image. And so that can be, if you're trying to help yourself in your explanation, you could do that. But they do not grade images. The only images they're going to grade is something if you draw a lab or a chart, then those will be graded. And then C, explain the 3 unique properties of water that are a result of hydrogen bonding. So you would tell me something like has high heat capacity. So it can be used to store, it can take in a lot of energy and helps mediate our Earth's environment, and you explain that. You know, remember when we went through the biological benefits that I thought you had the notes for, but you didn't. Remember that? You have all the biological benefits because I just took a shot of my notes and I put them right in the middle of Google Classroom, so you have all those biological benefits. The one I would recommend that you don't tell me about is you don't need to talk to me about surface tension, because there's very few organisms where that's a biological benefit for, right? Just those water striders. So surface tension is not one that I would use. Okay, so that is question number 1. Question number 2, we haven't finished this one yet. But question number 2, discuss the biological importance and molecular structure of each of the following organic compounds in relation to cellular structure and function in plants and or animals. So this is assuming that you understand cellular structure and function and where you might find them as well. But we could talk about carbohydrates because we finished that in all of our classes, right? So you would talk to me about how carbohydrates are built out of what? Sugars. And that you could join multiple sugars together through the process of dehydration synthesis to form, well, you could form disaccharides, and you could mention the disaccharides and how those are good for quick energy. Then you could talk to me about polymers, and you could talk to me that they are used in 2 different functions. Do you remember the 2 big functions of polymers? Long-term energy and structure. So for structure, you might talk about cellulose and the role that cellulose plays. It's in a plant cell wall, or chitin exoskeleton of arthropods or fungal cell walls. Then energy, you could talk to me about glycogen, you could talk to me about starch. Okay, question 3 is about cell membrane structure, and that is not in Unit 1. So once you've written those 2 essays, you're done with the old school essays. Okay? But then there would be some new school essays, and because these are new, wait, I want a backwards arrow. Here we go. So if you look at semester 1 AP biology potential grid-ins and essays, if you open up this one, you could make a copy of it because it's on view only for you. It's because I own it. It's different. But I would make a copy, and I would literally type into this document. Each of you your own copy. Okay? And for your grid ends, if you look at the top, for your grid ends, what you're going to be doing is it could be some calculations that you have to do, like a chi-square test, and you bubble in your answer. And you will have grid ends that are on your AP exam, so this gives you some practice for that. So, for instance, if 9 molecules of a monosaccharide with the formula C6H12O6 are assembled to produce a complex carbohydrate, how many atoms of hydrogen will be in the final polymer? Let me fix that. So work that out. Figure out what your answer is. You can tell a question like that, it's not something you memorize. You want to understand the process of it so that if I ask you about another one, you can answer. But practice answering that question, and that's why it would be a good idea for you to make a copy of this all for yourself that you work on throughout the semester. Number 2, compare the number of hydrogen ions in a solution with a pH of 2 to a solution of pH of 6, right? So what happened when we went from 2 to 6? Did we have more or less hydrogen ions? Less. Yeah. So you could talk to me about it says compare the number of hydrogen ions on a solution with a pH of 2 to a solution of pH of 6. What is the difference between them? So that's orders of magnitude, right? Remember, each time we change one level of pH, there are 10 times more hydrogen ions, right? 10 times more hydrogen ions as we go from 6 to 5, 5 to 4. Then we go there, we have to keep multiplying by 10, yes? Okay. We have not talked about cells, so you would go, oh, okay, that one doesn't apply. And none of the rest will. These I put in sequence of our learning. So as soon as you go, oh, okay, I don't know that one, don't keep working on it because you won't need to. If we scroll down past the grid ends and you go down, did I miss the beginning of it? I gave you a lot of grid ends. Grid in, grid in, grid in. Here we go. Free response. Now, this first one is talking about the selectively permeable plasma membrane is composed of phospholipids and proteins, which allow for unique functions. Now, you couldn't, okay, so we haven't really talked about cell membranes yet, right? Well, let's see if there's any part of it we can do. Describe the structure and properties of phospholipids and explain the important roles of phospholipids. Can we do that one? No. How about predict how the normal function of the plasma membrane would be altered if all phospholipids were saturated, resulting in fatty acids without kinks or bends? Explain the effect it would have on plants. Have we talked about that? No. Proteins are an important component of the cell membrane. Describe 2 specific functions of proteins in the membrane. Have we really talked about them? No. Look at that, part C, and it went copyright based on the. So I think we're okay. We don't need to go even into that one because this is more for the chapters that we've moved farther along on. So you could go, okay, the only ones I can do in this one are the grid ends 1 and 2, and then I'm ready for my essays on that part. Okay? It doesn't mean that those are your only possible essays, right? Because these are ones of the new school that I pulled off of already AP exams that they have used at some point. And that's why I've got them here. These are those types of sample questions, or I've pulled out of study guides. Things like being able to understand the scientific method. They haven't asked a question specifically about that, but you know we have talked about the scientific method. I could have you do a grid in of the chi-square. I could ask you about the characteristics of life, right? Yeah. Any of those items are questions that could come up. Chapter 2, the chemistry one, remember that's background information because they're expecting you to already know that. So they don't have necessarily a specific question over that, but I could ask you a specific question over chapter 2 that has to do with that. These are just some guiding questions. Also, you will find in the new school ones, these are questions they would ask at the end of the year. So it's having you pull on information from several different places, and we're just not there yet. But I want you to see what types of questions they could ask you on the AP exam. A good source also, where would be another good way to find out what kind of essays or how to prepare for essays? What else could you do? at the back of the, yeah, the back of the chapters. Each look through those, see if you can apply. They have, you know, can you interpret this graph? Those are kinds of things I would put on there. What does this graph mean? How would you interpret it? Just like we discussed it in class. Okay, so that gets you a starting point. Again, keep in mind as you're working on your essays, work individually first and then work collaboratively after when you're looking to see if you agree or make comments or grade each other's and say, hey, I included this in mine. You might want to consider this in your essay as well. Any other questions or concerns on that? Okay, you will see this new, you can come in, sweetheart. You will see this new assignment that I put in your, maybe some of it have popped up in your email if you're, does it do that when I put an assignment in Google Classroom? So I put this assignment in Google Classroom, it's called Quizzes, and it's misspelled plural quizzes, but that's the name of the company. And it is a quizzes over the 4 important organic molecules, of which we have just started. You can take that quiz as many times as you want till you get 100%. It's a timed quiz. You get graded on both accuracy and on speed. And I'm trying it as a way to help you in your reviewing so you could see the types of questions I might ask you, not only on the quiz over this chapter, but also on your exam, multiple choice exam. So we're not done with it yet, and I put the deadline for your last attempt on this quiz for Thursday because I knew we would finish it by then. So I want you to try to do it by that. And it literally will probably take you not more 30 seconds, you know, less than 10 minutes to do it. But if you want to have multiple attempts at it, you can. If you already want to try it and see how well you already know it, of what stuff you do understand, feel free. Because I've never used it before and assigned it in Google Classroom, but I had my TA join our first period class, and then she missed one to see what would happen, and then she got to retake the whole thing again. It says, do you want to do it again? And you can say, yes, I want to do it again. Make sure to log in with your Gap account, and make sure to put last name space first name when you take it. You know what else? I think we're going to need period, because I don't think it's going to sort you by period. I will add that to the instructions. Put the number period you're in, like 135, then last name, space, then first name if you're going to try it. I think that's what I'm going to need. Okay? Questions or concerns? Issues? Yes?
So on this quiz game, I guess?
Yes.
Will we be, like, if you get one wrong, will that be...
You take it again.
Will it be a mark off on a grade?
No, you can take it again until you get 100%. That's the beauty of it. You should get 100% on it. And it gives you a chance to keep doing it to make sure that you learn it. If you go through and you get 80% the first time, I bet the next time you go through, you're going to get a better score. Because it tells you what you missed at the end of it. And tell me what you think of it, because I've literally never done this as a homework assignment before. I read a book, a really good book called Edu Protocols, or I'm working my way through it, and it suggests, and so I thought, oh, I'm going to try it. Okay, so give it a go. Any other questions or concerns? Okay, you guys are awesome. Make good choices, and I love you.